So if you have something that is scarier than holding food, well, that's with marbles, it can be very distracting. So if you can say your 30-second commercial while you're holding marbles and a glass of water, you can say it at a networking event much more easily because it's less distracting.
You're listening to The Successful Bookkeeper with your host, Michael Palmer. Listen each week as inspiring guests share their secrets of success to help you increase your confidence, work smarter, and build a business you love. This episode of The Successful Bookkeeper is brought to you by PureBookkeeping.com, the proven system to grow your bookkeeping business.
Welcome back to the Successful Bookkeeper Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Palmer, and today's show is going to be fantastic. Our guest is the owner of Back Office People in La Crescenta, California, and she is a Pure Bookkeeping licensee. Mindy Morrison, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you, Michael. Glad to be here.
It's great to have you. We've met many, many times and worked together for quite some time now, but our listener doesn't know you that well, Mindy. So please, before we get into things, tell us a little bit about you and your career journey leading up to this point.
Sure. Well, I started out in computer information systems. I have a degree in computer information systems and an MBA. And a number of years ago, they started laying off a lot of systems analysts and programmers. And I couldn't compete with all these people who had just wonderful Java skills and all the new stuff. And I said, well, what can I do that they can't do? And I had been working for EGAD, which is a family-owned software company, a small business. You wear a lot of hats, and I'd learned QuickBooks. I said, well, I can do QuickBooks. All these programmers and analysts, they don't know QuickBooks. And so I will have a lot less competition. And so I got certified in it, I learned it, and I got a job doing bookkeeping. When I got laid off from that position because they were combining the companies, I went in on and started my own business. I'd been thinking, I just thought that I would be an employee and I would go to this, park in the same place, go to the same desk, put my coffee cup on the same place on my desk, and that would make me happy. And so it was a total change to start working for myself, totally different mindset. So I really enjoy it. I mean, I got certified as a QuickBooks Pro Advisor in desktop, and I started with QuickBooks Online when it was 2 years old and really sucked. It was just awful. And the first thing I did in QBO was convert the companies. They were running a huge company on Quicken. And it's like, really? Okay. So I converted it from Quicken to QuickBooks Desktop to QuickBooks Online, and looked at it and everything and realized that there was no income in their books. They used it as a glorified check printer. And it's like, well, we're going to have to change that. So I've been doing QuickBooks as an owner of a company since 2009, and I now have 2 employees part-time. I've really been able to enjoy a work-life balance. I've been able to go and, when my daughter was going to school, pick her up from school. So it's been a dream for me.
It's fantastic.
That I didn't even know I wanted.
It's always wonderful to hear, and I always love hearing the backstory to someone finding their way in business. When you first got started, what would you say was your biggest challenge or hurdle that you needed to overcome in business?
Oh, the imposter syndrome. I didn't realize that I knew way more than the people I was working for. I know QuickBooks better than they do. I know business more than they do. I don't know their business, but I know how to track stuff in business. And the biggest hurdle was not charging enough. I mean, hey, I thought I was doing great, charging $35 an hour. And then realizing, I need to charge more than that because my expenses are more than that. And so each time I got a new client, I would up their price. And they would say, oh, that's great. It was like, okay. And I went and found out what the, average cost of a bookkeeper at that time. It was like, oh, I am really undercharging. And they know that.
And did you have a challenge taking up your price when you were doing it? Was it uncomfortable for you?
It scared me to death. And then realizing that, hey, with a new client, they don't know what I had been charging. So I could up it $10 an hour, and they either said that's too expensive or that's just fine. And I probably left money on the table. The scariest one was upping the price for people I'd already been working for. I mean, the first client, I still have my first client, and I'm still not charging them enough. But they're a nonprofit, so
You give them a break.
I do. I did up my rate for the first time in a couple of years by 5%. And I'm still charging you less than everybody else. Now, if they made me cringe, I would just help them find someone else.
So you would, with clients, if they weren't good clients, you would shuttle them off.
Yeah. I had one where I just raised my price too. He said, oh, I don't think we're a fit anymore. And I went, thank you, God.
Lovely. Lovely. We'll get back to the interview right after this word from our sponsor. Wouldn't it be amazing if your bookkeeping business ran like a world-class franchise, like a Starbucks or an Apple store? One where the business literally runs itself. You and your staff would have documented training, systems, and processes to find the clients, price the clients, convert the clients, onboard the clients, service the clients, manage the clients, find the staff, qualify the staff, hire the staff, train the staff, manage the staff. Whew, wouldn't that be a lot easier? But then what if alongside that you had a community of other bookkeeping business owners that you could mastermind with, ask questions, support, and be supported along your journey? That would likely accelerate the success of your business, right? And what if you didn't have to pay tens of thousands of dollars to purchase the franchise, pay franchise fees, give up control and ownership of your business? Instead, just pay a simple monthly fee starting at $295 a month to access everything you need to scale your business. Systems for the sales, marketing, hiring, and technical bookkeeping, workflow and CRM software to manage it all, and a community to support you. That's Pure Bookkeeping. For over a decade, we've been helping thousands of bookkeepers grow their business by providing the systems and processes so you can run your business like a world-class business. Stop the trial and error game and start implementing the proven systems that will give you back your freedom, increase your income, and bring you peace of mind. Check out purebookkeeping.com for more information. That's purebookkeeping.com. Thank you for hearing from our sponsor. Now let's get back to the interview. Now, when you, curious, you mentioned your very first client. How did you go about getting your first client?
Well, I had been running a job club for professionals at that time, in 2008. No one was hiring. And so I realized that everyone who was in my job club, when they left, they were going off and starting their own business. So I went, oh, well, let's change this to, as I'm looking to start my own business, let's start another group for small business owners. And one of the gals there knew of this nonprofit who needed someone to do their books because the executive director just didn't have enough time to do it. She was always behind and always getting late charges, non-sufficient fund fees. I mean, hundreds of dollars a month and they really couldn't afford that. So I think she paid for my time in saving the bank charges for the first couple of months.
Nice. And then did eventually clients just start to come, or was there a strategy that you used? How did you go about that?
Well, I joined the local Chamber of Commerce, the Crescenta Valley Chamber of Commerce. I'm still a member there, over 10 years now. And
Good for you.
And I didn't get a lot of clients, but I really enjoyed going there. And whenever they had double mixers where, the Glendale Chamber of Commerce or the La Cañada Chamber of Commerce would join them, I would usually get a client from them. They're going, "Oh, I need help with my bookkeeping." It's like, okay, great. I'll just ask them about their business and what bank they have and what their problems are. And they'll go, "Oh, you're exactly the person I need to talk to about this because you know what I need to do." It's like, okay. And later on, I got into nextdoor.com. I've got one of my best clients through that because when a friend of mine recommended me to them on that platform. And one of the accountants of my clients gave me a wonderful recommendation on Yelp, and I wasn't on Yelp. And so that motivated me to get on Yelp because he called me and said, I put a review on Yelp for you. You need to claim it before someone else claims it for you. It's like, oh, okay. Yeah, that's a thing. It's like, great.
Wow.
And then I got onto, back then it was Google Place, and now it's Google Business.
Google Business, yeah.
Yeah, I've gotten clients from that. Oh, and before all that, I was on the ProAdvisor website, and a lot of people found me that way because they just said, "Bookkeeper, this zip code." It's like, okay. And back then I would take anybody because before I had any clients, I was doing trade dollars with a company called ACX and then one called ITEX, ITEX. And I charged $100, 100 trade dollars per hour to help this guy with his books. And it helped me improve my confidence because it's like, it wasn't real money. Turns out it is, but because you got charged 3% to earn it and in regular dollars and 3% to spend it. But they have a wonderful trade show in November, and I get all my Christmas presents there.
Very interesting. So it was something that gave you confidence and sounds like something very local.
Yeah, exactly. Now I just do payroll for ITEX because trade dollars you can't buy gas with.
Right. So those are some really interesting strategies to get clients. I mean, I'm sure there's a listener right now that doesn't have a Yelp account, doesn't have a Google Business account, that they're missing out on those opportunities. And you planted a lot of seeds. Seed can't grow if you don't plant it. And you planted a bunch of seeds. Doesn't sound like it was all at once, but it came over time. If you could do it all over again from those early days, what would you do differently?
I'd raise my prices faster and more at the beginning.
It's one that comes up a lot. I mean, it's one of the key mistakes. We talk often about the mistakes bookkeepers make in business, and not charging enough is probably number one that we hear of. What do you think for someone's listening right now thinking, "Oh, I need to do the same thing"? What do you think is the secret to unlocking that and avoiding making that mistake that you made?
Well, finding out what the average amount that people earn as a bookkeeper in your area. You can look it up on salary.com and other places. I think there's another one that Michelle Long is involved with. And they do a survey of what QuickBooks Pro advisors earn on average. I think the last time I looked, it was $75 an hour. And it's like, Well, as a pro advisor, you are above average, above people who think they're bookkeepers and all they do is data entry because, they've been told, oh, this is my bookkeeper who enters all my data, but they don't reconcile. They know one itty bitty piece of it. So I learned to say that, hey, I fixed the mistakes that the, minimum wage bookkeeper makes. So,
interesting tagline.
Yeah. And my tagline is take back your weekend.
I love it.
If you're small business owners tearing out their hair and, missing out on family stuff because they're trying to do their books on the weekend or, after dinner and missing out on family life, this allows them to take that back.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Have you been saying that too? Like you talked a lot about your networking, you meet people.
Yeah, that's part of my 30-second commercial.
Yep.
Elevator pitch, whatever you want to call it. When I was running the meetup group for small business owners, I had everyone were sitting around in a circle in chairs and you'd have to stand up. And I would say, to really get the essence of being in networking, I should have a glass of water and a plate full of marbles. And then you should do your 30-second commercial because you're standing up when you're doing networking. I think one time I came in with marbles and a plate and a glass and no one showed up that day. They knew it was coming. And then, and so
what's the plate and the marbles and the glass? I don't get it.
When you're networking chamber event, you're balancing a plate of food and a glass of beer or wine or water or whatever.
Right.
And so if you have something that is scarier than holding food, with marbles, it can be very distracting. So if you can say your 30-second commercial while you're holding marbles and a glass of water, you can say it at a networking event much more easily because it's less distracting.
Gotcha. That's great.
And here is a really good tip that I got from one of the guys. He had been in broadcasting on radio at one point, and he said, if you type out what you want to say, double spaced, one page, that's about 30 seconds. And don't cheat by putting really big font.
There you go. There's actually, you can, if you go, Google, how long will it take to read this? There's a lot of free things, online things. You just drop your text in there and it'll tell you how long it takes to read it. It's amazing some of the things that are out there nowadays. I think one could even read it to you.
I had no idea those existed, and back when I did my meetup group, did our last meetup group before, COVID shut everything down. Well, as soon as the library closed, then we closed it down. Because you can meet at libraries for free if anyone can go in and sit in on your presentation. You don't have to rent a place to have a workshop.
Very true.
If you're not charging them.
Right. So you would actually do like presentations to people about bookkeeping, or what would you do?
I did a couple of those, but I wasn't bringing in the people who needed bookkeeping. They just wanted to pick my brain.
Right. Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, I really like the script of helping business owners take back their weekend. And just, for someone to even say that at a networking event, when you're asked, what do you do? Well, one of the big things I do is help you take back your weekend. Something like that. And there's lots of different ways you can approach that. It's such a great conversation starter. It gets to the heart of the challenge that the business owner is having and puts the conversation back over to them, gets them talking. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, me too. I'd love to have my weekend back.
Yeah.
So I really like that. And I think I'm going to encourage our listener to use something like that. Next time somebody asks you, try something like that on and see where the conversation goes. It opens up a conversation about who they are and do they have their weekends, right?
Oh, yeah. And I put all sorts of huge obstacles in my way to keep me from doing things. It's like, oh, I have to have a logo before I do this. And it's like, your logo doesn't, it could just be the name of your company in a font you like, in a circle or a square. And I learned that the hard way. I spent so much time trying to figure out what my logo should be. And that's not what's important. It's important to find out what your niche is, what your niche is. I had no idea. It's like, well, my background's IT, so technopreneurs are my favorite people to work with because I speak their language. I already know the vocabulary. And
That's
I
right.
also have the niche of creatives, people who create. I mean, as my friend Libby says, there's a reason numbers begin with the word num. I can talk to her about numbers for about 20 minutes and then her brain is gone. So it's like, I understand creatives. It's like, I can be immersed in numbers all day long, every day. They can't.
Mm.
And I understand that. So it's like, I put it out in bits and pieces. And it's like, okay, you do this part and I'll do this and this and this and this. And they'll go, thank you.
So true. So true. I love that. So thank you for sharing some of the mistakes that you made and some of the things you did well and how you got around them. You're also a pure bookkeeping licensee. I'd love to talk a little bit about that. What was it about pure bookkeeping that interested you?
Well, I found it through the E-Myth for bookkeepers. And I was going, yes, I want this. I want to have a process because I keep reinventing the wheel every time I have a new client. Every time, every time is different and it takes so much time. And it's like, I tried doing what Debbie did with pure bookkeeping. And it was like, I don't have the time to write out my processes and put it in a thing. And it's like, okay, I want to do pure bookkeeping. And they didn't have anything set up at that point for the US. And it's like, great, it has all the processes, but I would have to convert everything from Canadian to US. And so a couple years after that, I looked at it again and went, you've got American stuff. I can do this. And I joined and it was like, yes, this is great. I've got processes. I didn't follow them perfectly. I still don't. But it was so much better than being by myself, wondering why I'm doing this and am I doing it right? And now I've got a community. I love Wednesday mornings. It's morning for me, afternoon for other people. But doing, the work at Wednesday and talking about our tech stack and the Friday success call. I have a standing thing going on Monday, so I've never made the Monday meetings. Oh, and when COVID hit, it was like, I still have community. I still have my support system because I can still Zoom with everybody. Yeah. One of the biggest mistakes I've done is not charging up front. I have clients who insist on me working hourly, but I insist on getting 10 hours up front. It's like, I'll do 10 hours of work and then I'll send you another retainer invoice. And that's taken a lot of pressure off. I had one client that, they would pay me the next time I was there and they got mad at me or something one of their employees did. And they still owe me like $1,300. And I just had to kiss that goodbye.
Mm. So getting money up front for jobs that you may be unfamiliar with them or cleanup jobs, those sorts of things.
Or, if they don't want to, there are some clients, it's like they'll go along, everything's really easy peasy. And then they'll have 5-6 hours of questions and meetings they need and stuff like that. And so, they just want to do it by the hour.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I will eventually put my foot down and say, no, we're going to have a retainer of a certain amount for a certain, I belong to Mark Wickersham's Value Pricing Academy, and that's helped a lot. I have a few clients that I charge monthly on the first, and I get paid. It's wonderful. I also have a few clients where, their wife took over the books, but they still get a discount for QuickBooks Online through me. So, but I make sure those are, those get paid automatically. So I don't have to, I spend a lot less time on collections.
Very nice.
And I don't have to, have nightmares about it either.
Lovely. Mindy, if there was any final thoughts that you would recommend our listener think about in their own business journey, wherever they might be, what would those be?
Don't try to do it by yourself. It's lonely, and having a mentor is good if you can. I've gotten together with a couple people from a round table, and it's like, hey, we're in the same steps of getting our business up and running. Let's have an accountability group. I think an accountability partner works better, where you just text each other, hey, this is what I'm going to do today. And then at the end of the day, this is what I did, but I did this too, and I didn't do that. And then once a week, they talk about it. So that has been a game changer for me, because it's like, I need to get this done because I said I was going to get it done. I sprung for a remarkable tablet because I was writing notes on pads of paper and Post-it notes and losing them. And now I write down, I have a day planner, and I write down what I'm going to do, because then it gets in my head, this is what I'm going to do tomorrow. And it helps me keep me on track. And I use a whole lot less paper, and it works with my brain. And if you get a remarkable tablet, get 2 styluses, because you will lose one, even temporarily. You can't use it.
Lovely. So those have been very helpful. Well, this has been great, Mindy. It's always a pleasure to hear someone's business journey, and I congratulate you on building your successful bookkeeping business. And I look forward to seeing you take it to the next level. But what's on the horizon for you? Where are you taking your business next?
Well, I am implementing Pure Workflow. Right now, I'm in the design phase, figuring out what I want to do. And my next step is to, implement it on my own business as the client, because my business is my number one client. If I'm behind in invoicing, I get resentful that people don't pay me. And they can't pay me if they don't know that they need to pay me.
That's right. So taking your business finances and getting the books done and being on time and up to date.
Oh, exactly. And having a workflow software that is going to give me the ability to offload some of my bookkeeping, more of the bookkeeping than I do, to the gals that work for me, knowing that they will be doing it the same way that I do it, in the same way, consistently the same way. That's going to be good. I'm moving more toward advisory work, because when I did my meetup group, Pasadena Small Business Owners Networking Roundtable, I loved helping other business owners, giving them advice. This is how you do this. This is how you do that. That's fun. I love doing that. It's just incredibly neat. Oh, one of the other things that I really have implemented pretty well is having engagement letters in 17 hats, and they can be signed e-signed. That has been a real game changer. And I've upgraded my contracts to the ones that PBS uses, taking out the ones that don't apply. And as I get burned in one place, I add it to my contract, to my engagement letter, so that it won't disrupt my business again.
That's fantastic. The Pure Bookkeeping engagement letter has helped a lot of people get the clarity with clients around what they can expect, the promises they're making, the promises you're making, and then business is always evolving, making sure that you're updating it and tailoring it to what you want to stand for and how you want your business to run and what you expect of people. So I love that you've done that and keep evolving it.
Oh, exactly. And if someone disputes the charge of, $750, $800, and you've done the work and you have a contract, then you can show that you've done the work, you have a contract, and then you can appeal that and you will get your money back. Because having a conversation that's uncomfortable or awkward is way better than no conversation. Because it's like, I had a client, it's like, I can't go in and talk with you until after I have the 1099s done at the end of January. Oh, that'd be fine. That'd be great. It was like, I'm in my head, I'm going, oh, they're going to hate me. They're going to fire me. They're going to just be disappointed in me. And it was like, oh no, just letting them know what you need is better than working late hours and getting resentful.
Yes, exactly. I love that, Mindy. This has been absolutely fantastic. Thank you for coming on the show and for your generosity and sharing your journey and the ups, the downs, the mistakes that you've made, some of the good things that you've done. Always valuable for our listener to hear other people's story. And so thank you.
You're welcome. Glad I could help. I love helping people. It's even better when I can get paid for it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you. And with that, we wrap another episode of the Successful Bookkeeper Podcast. To learn more about today's wonderful guest and to get access to all sorts of valuable free business building resources, you can go to thesuccessfulbookkeeper.com. Until next time, goodbye.
You've been listening to The Successful Bookkeeper with Michael Palmer. For more information and to download the resources mentioned in this episode, please visit us at thesuccessfulbookkeeper.com. Thank you for listening.